Part two of being in love with the thought of being in love, which I was a victim to that mentality. It equated to dysfunctional relationships, and it also resulted in the blame game. I didn't take responsibility for the part that I played in the relationship, even though I fantasized with the thought of being in love. And I fell in love with the thought of being in love. Oh, it's going to be so beautiful. Didn't understand that there is work, WORK, to be done behind the scenes. What takes place with us is that we can experience a couple that has been in a healthy relationship for a substantial period of time, 10, 15, 20 years, 30 years. But what we don't see is their private struggles. We don't see the disagreements at home. We don't see the arguments at home. We don't see the reconciliation at home. We don't see when we're saying, I'm sorry. We don't see the work. We see the finished product. But understand this, there's always a process involved when we see the desired outcome or the product of what our heart desires is telling us is rightfully ours. Are we willing to do the work? And so let me rephrase this. Are we willing to allow to work to be done in us? See, when I was in love with the thought of being in love, I realized that it was fantasy, and the fantasy that produced this revelation was, Cage, are you willing to agree with the work that has to be done in you to produce a healthy relationship? That work needs to be intentional and initiated by you. If that work, I'm speaking to you, but I'm speaking to how I think, or how I was thinking at the time. The work that needs to be done has to be in terms of your personal growth and development. It has to be intentional by you. If it's not intentional, then the person that you find yourself with may make a statement, may demonstrate a behavior that will agitate and irritate you and strike your ego, equating to offense. And now, because I have yet to get involved in the work that's being done in me, I'll point the finger at them and say, it's what you said, it's what you did, it's what you didn't do, and it's what you didn't say. Basically putting us in a place of insecurity because of a false identity. The work has to be done. The energy that we invest in fantasizing about this ideal relationship with the rainbows and the butterflies and the birds chirping, the energy that we invest in that, the energy that we invest in looking at other people's relationships, that we only can see the surface, but we don't necessarily know if it's truly and authentically healthy. All that energy can be invested on discovering who you are, getting connected to a personal people who you know has a healthy relationship with their spouse, with their girlfriend, boyfriend, fiance, whoever it may be. Understanding that even though, and my mentor shared this with us long ago, and I'm gonna give it to you in his paraphrase, even though that relationship may be healthy, it's not perfect. A relationship can be healthy, but it doesn't have to be perfect, meaning no flaws. Now, we do want to strive for perfection in terms of our maturity, because maturity will equate to selflessness, and selflessness will equate when both parties are involved in a healthy relationship. So let's get away from falling in love with the thought of being in love. Let's fall in love with the thought of doing the work, like receiving the work that's being done inside of us, so we can produce and project the image and the change that we want to see.